Hello and welcome to the WeCrochet Facebook page and YouTube channel. We are here for our special edition of our WeCrochet Crochet Month tips and tricks along the way. And today we are talking all about crochet cables. I'm going to show you how to read a chart. I'm going to show you how to do a cable, and we're just going to have some fun chatting today and talking about all things crochet cables. So if you're here and you're joining us, say hello. Let us maybe know where you're watching from. Sorry, fixing the camera here. Let us know where you're watching from. Tell us if you've done cables before. What are your questions about cables? All of those things we're going to learn together along the way. I do have my yarn cam set up, so we are going to be switching over there so you can see my hands and what I'm doing. Before we get started, though, there was something super special that launched yesterday. We haven't even really talked about it over on the website yet or in our emails yet. It's all going to be happening in the next couple weeks. But since you're here and you're taking the time to watch and chat with us and everything else, I wanted to make sure you guys knew. Don't forget, there is the book sale going on. You can get 40% off of all of the WeCrochet exclusive books and ebooks. So a really great time to stock up on your library. Yeah, you're going to love it, especially the new book is there, the Hooked on Socks. We've got all the books from this year so far out there, so you can go and grab those. But the newest thing for us is this brand new yarn. It's called Animation, and it comes in 3 different color packs. So this one here is the Flora and Fauna. We have the primary colors, and we have oceanscapes. And this was specifically designed by our team to make amigurumi with it. So you're going to see a lot more of this coming up, and different amigurumi projects to make with it are on their way. But if you haven't checked it out, you can go find this under our new yarn, and you're going to see a lot more of it in the next couple of weeks. And what we're doing with it and what you guys are doing with it and other designers, it's a DK weight mercerized cotton. They come in these small little hanks here. They're 25 grams, 69 yards per one. Perfect for making amigurumi or doilies or whatever else you want to make with them, but they're really great. So you're going to want to check those out and keep an eye out as we talk more about them over the next couple of weeks. Hi to all my friends that are joining. I see Angela and Carlene and Cindy and Julia. Thank you for saying hello and let us know that you're here. Cindy says, I've only done cables once before. Definitely not enough. That's okay. Some people love cables. Some people don't love cables. The cables that are here, we are not talking about today, but these are Tunisian cables. So you can even do cables in Tunisian. This is our rooted cardigan, if you're interested in this pattern. But this one is done in a Tunisian knit stitch and a couple other stitches. And it has this beautiful cabling panel here on the front. So you can even do cables in Tunisian. There's so many different ways that you can do cables and things like that. So I do have another couple projects here to show you. So we have some very detailed cables where you've got to do a lot of twisting and turning. And we have some that are going to twist and turn multiple times, have inside cables, outside cables. We've got these really wonderful gloves. If you like these mittens, they're mittens, they're not gloves, they don't have fingers. This is also the same cable that Brenda did in the Hooked on Socks book. It's the same cable. She also made the mittens, so you could have like a matching socks and mittens, but there's all different kinds of cables to work. Today, we're just going to talk about a real simple cable. We are going to talk the basics of making a cable and what you need to know and how to read a cable chart. So if you're new to cables, I also wanted to tell you that we have these great little Learn to Crochet Cables books. It has got, I think it's 5 patterns in here. Let me see if I got that right. 1, 2, 3, 4 patterns in here, but technically one is a set. It's a hat and mittens, so you have the 5 patterns, but it also talks about post stitches, cable patterns, everything you need to know for crochet. This is a really great handy book if you are starting off on your crochet journey that you might want to check out. And again, it is called Learn to Crochet Cables, also on sale right now, that you can go check out as well and add that to your cart. Okay. So we're going to actually use the Alpine collection, which is one of our brand new collections that came out in February this year. This one is available in an ebook and a print book, or as individual patterns, however you want to get it. It is included in the 40% off sale, so you can go ahead and grab it now at a really great price if you haven't already. But in this collection, let me page back here, we have this really great vest. It was actually done by Sarah Dudek, which you've heard from before. It's called the Great Divide Vest. Sorry, I'm getting a little glare there. That has this beautiful cable, this wide, chunky cable right down the front of the pattern. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the chart, and we're just going to talk about this chart here and how you kind of read it. I'm going to show you a basic cable stitch, where you would work the stitches and all of that. If you have questions along the way, go ahead and let us know in the chat, and I will do my best to answer them right away. Okay, so let me switch over here. Let me add this camera in and bring that one up. So sorry, I got nothing on my table right now, but I'm going to bring this in here. Hopefully I don't knock anything over. And we're going to start by what you're seeing here on the chart. And so we're going to start down here in the legend. And when you make cable stitches in crochet, really it's working back post and front post stitches. And that's how you're going to get the look of your cables in crochet. So you're going to notice down here in the legend, we have something called a BPDC, an FPDC, an FPDTR, an FPTR, and a DC. Okay, we should all know what a DC is because that stands for double crochet. In case you didn't know, it stands for a double crochet. And then you'll notice here that this is a BPDC and an FPDC. So that means a back post double crochet and a front post double crochet. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But basically, by working into the front of, or the front around a post of a stitch, or into the back around the post of a stitch, you're going to get different textures in your swatching or your pattern to give you really great texture for your cable. Another thing you'll notice in this chart here is this note over here. Let me pull it down a little bit. That says that the gray is worked in the front and the black is worked in the back. Now it's going to specifically tell you that if you read the instructions for the pattern, but when you're here in the chart, it's really great to know that. So when I'm looking at these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gray stitches here are actually worked in the front, while the gray ones are, or excuse me, while the black ones are worked in the back. So they're actually worked first and the gray ones are worked second. Okay, so let's just show you how this kind of works. So I started this little swatch here just to kind of give you an idea, and I worked here a bunch of double crochets, and I showed you how you would typically work double crochets here, where you're working through the top of the stitch. And you're going to see that there's this little twist. It's just a 2x2 cable here. So I have 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and you kind of get this little gap in here from where your stitches overlap, and then you just continue on. So let's show you how you do that. So I'm going to start here, and I am going to turn my work. I prefer to do a standing double crochet as opposed to chaining. So I stick my hook through the first stitch, I make a single crochet, and then I actually stick my hook right back through here and do another single crochet, and that brings me up to the height of a double crochet, and it doesn't use the chaining. It's just my preferred method. You can do what you want. I guess I should have, I'm sorry. Let me quick go ahead and double crochet across here so that the cabling is on the front side. So if anybody has questions, go ahead and put them in there. If you don't know, the hook that I'm using is our Dots crochet hook. It's the newest set of crochet hooks that we have brought onto the site. They're really wonderful. They've already sold out twice. So if you're interested, you want to go and grab them now while they are still in stock, so you can purchase them. They're really great. They have a long handle. They are not fused together, but the metal is actually put into the handle while it's being made, so it's not going to come out or break. It's got a nice little triangle thumb pad, so it's great for both knife like me or if your pencil hold as well. Okay, so let me turn back over, and we're going to start with my standing double crochet again. And I'm going to I'm going to double crochet in the first 2 stitches just to get me away from the edge. Okay, so here we are. So now we're going to work a cable. And what it's going to tell you is a front post or a back post. And we're just going to use double crochet stitches because that's what I'm using here in this swatch. And so what it'll tell you is to skip 2 stitches. And then I'm going to work a front post double crochet. So I'm going to go from the front to the back, back to the front, and you can see how I'm pulling up the post of this stitch. See how that is right there? Hopefully that's coming through. So I'm going right there through the stitch, through the post, and going around the post, and I'm going to work my double crochet. I'm going to do the same thing into the next stitch. So right around my post, oops, not get caught over there. And now I have my 2 stitches, and you can see that because of the way I skipped these 2, they're leaning towards the right. Now, if I'm going to work these into the behind these stitches, I'm going to flip to the front. Well, actually, let's work in front because that'll be easier to see first time. So here I'm going to work into this post now. So I'm going to do the same thing and go front to back to front. And I'm going to do my double crochet stitch. So I'm working back into those skip stitches. And I'll do the same thing around that other post that I skipped and create my second stitch. Now you'll see there's this little twist where I have my stitches in the back, my stitches in the front, and I'm back here to my very next stitch in my swatch. So I'm going to double crochet there, and I'm going to double crochet in the next one, and we're going to show you again, okay? So here we are. We're working regular stitches. And now if I want to do my cable stitch, it's going to tell me how many to skip. I'm going to skip 2 because I'm going to do a 2 by 2. And then I'm going to do my cable in this third stitch. And I want to do a front post. So from the front to the back to the front, pulling up that post. And I'm just going to do my double crochet right around that stitch. So I skipped these 2, front post double crochet, and I'm going to front post double crochet around the next one. So from front to back to front, and then finish my stitch. Okay, so now I have to go back into these 2 that I skipped to finish those off. And I'm going to yarn over again because we're still using double crochets. I'm going to go to that first stitch. So you're working across this way. And so I have to always come back to that far right stitch unless the designer tells you otherwise. And I'm going to go from front to back to front, and I'm going to complete my double crochet stitch. I'm going to yarn over again. I'm going to go to that second stitch that I skipped, front to back to front, and finish my stitch. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish out my row with 2 double crochet stitches. Okay, so now you can see that I've got 2 cables here where they're crossing over in the front. You could do the exact same thing except crossing behind it. You would do the same thing working around your post stitches to create this. And let's just look here at the top because it starts to look a little wonky. Your stitches are not quite straight here, but that's okay. We're still going to work them in order. So if I go ahead and I do my standing double crochet again, and I go there, and then I have my regular single crochet or double crochet that I finished my row with. And then I get here to this cable twist. Oops, I'm sorry, I just whacked the camera here. Hold on. Okay. So I get to my double twist, and you can see here that 2 of the stitches lean this way and the other 2 stitches are leaning this way. I'm just going to work them in order of what I did when I created them. You will also notice that you're getting stitches now leaning this direction. I can now see the tops of these stitches because that's where I went around the post, so it pushed that back. I'm going to skip those. You don't work in those. You're just going directly across the top of the stitches that you worked. The front post and back post is also worked if you're doing like a basket weave stitch. It's going to be the same thing. The only difference now is when you do a cable, you're going to skip stitches and then go back to work into them again. That's really all cables are, is skipping stitches and then working back into them to complete your cable twist. In knitting, you'd have to take your stitches off your needle, hold them to the front, hold them to the back. Here in crochet, you just kind of move them to the front or to the back, however you need it to be. And now we just created 2 of these left leaning cables in a 2x2 cable. So that's as easy, or that's what it all is about to make your cables. Let me bring this bag over here. That's how you make cables. You're just working your post stitches in the front and in the back, and you're just reading across your pattern. Here we go. So I'm just reading across my pattern each stitch, looking at how many I have to skip, and then working back into those skip stitches to make that twist in my cable, for whatever cables you're doing. Obviously, some are more complicated, like the headband that I showed you, but it is not that complicated that in the pattern, it doesn't tell you how many to skip, how many to work. It's all written right there. So you can read the writing or you can look at the charts. That's all there is to it. Just take your time, read through it, look at your back post and front post stitches, and make sure you use that legend so that you know which is which as you work your stitches. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat. We can answer them now, or if you're watching the replay, we can answer them then as well. But those are the basics of a crochet cable and reading a crochet cable chart and what those different stitches mean in your legend. And I hope you'll give cables or crochet cables a try. And like I said, this is a really great option in Alpine. We have the vest in there. Or also, if you're getting started, you can try the learn to crochet cables. That's going to show you exactly how to do a post stitch, where to put them, and walk you through the basics of cable stitches as well. So thank you for joining me. We will be back next week at our regular scheduled time. Oh, if you are working in the round, do you still work in the top of the stitch the way you just did flat? Yes. So if you're working in the round, it's going to be exactly the same thing. The only difference between this and working in the round is that I'm not going to turn to work that plain row. Sometimes your pattern will tell you to work a plain row, and sometimes they won't. That's also why there's going to be a difference in the front post and back post, because if you are stacking cable rows directly on top of each other to make a longer cable, then you may work a front post stitch on the front side, and when you turn it, now you'll work a back post stitch so that all your texture pushes to the same side. When you're working in the round, you won't have to do that. You'll always be working those front post stitches, so that the texture sticks to the outside, and you will still skip those like little bumpies that bent over. You will not work those because that is that row below you as opposed to the row that you just created. Hopefully that helps, Maria. If not, let me know and we'll try to explain it a different way. But that's basically how it works. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope you'll be back on Wednesday to join us again. And happy shopping our book sale and our new animation yarn, which even if you don't like amigurumi, it's okay. It is a wonderful, wonderful DK weight mercerized cotton yarn that you can use to make a lot of accessories or other items as well. So have a great evening, everybody, and happy crocheting. We'll